Hi there, it's Dermot here, and I'm just going to continue with my lectures on recovery-based lectures, and I'm doing a different lecture on different aspects of recovery, and different aspects of character defects, feelings, etc. I'm just going to look at choice today because choice is very important in recovery because it's something that we didn't have in addiction, and it's something we need to learn to kind of cultivate in recovery. So just to introduce it, we'll look at what is choice, what is solution focused, choice and addiction, how does choice in recovery benefit me, appreciating choice, and decision making ability. So what is choice? So it's the greatest ability we have as a human being. So, we have this ability to choose. We can choose our destiny. We can choose what we want in life. We can choose where we go. We can choose how we dress. We can choose how we speak. So a lot of different things. We have choices in life we can choose to do. We have this, I suppose, ability, or as I say, gift from God to be able to do these things. Although yes, we can be conditioned to an extent growing up, we still have this choice in life, and it's a choice individual to each and every one of us. It's a self-empowerment, so it's our identity, our uniqueness as a person, having that ability to choose who we are, choose our identity, what we want to be, etc. Expressing our free will, and again, liberties, freedom. It's a great thing to be able to express your free will, and I think, unfortunately, people like us who live in the West and democracies, we have this freedom to express our free will, but we take it for granted and we don't even practice it to an extent. I know people who live in countries where they would be oppressed would love to have free will in that sense. And then release from the prison of our own minds and selves, and that's where we kind of were, in addiction, you're in prison, you're imprisoned by your addiction. It has control over you. You're not in charge, and so that's the prison that we had, I suppose, in active addiction. So we get released from that prison, from that old self, from that old mindset, from chemicals. So solution focused, again, we tend to give too much attention to and focus on the problem at hand. And that's, I suppose, coming from addiction, all you focused on was the problem. What is the problem? What's the next problem? What's the next problem coming up? When that problem's gone, what's the next one? And we never really looked at the solution in a sense, or how can we find a way out of this? We were very good in the sense, okay, if the problem was that we're running out of drink, we always found drink or drugs, but the solution to other problems, focusing on a solution, to a problem will take your attention away. So that's the reason we say, solution focused. And if you've heard of a solution focused brief therapy, is what it does. It doesn't put too much focus on the problem. Whatever the presenting problem is, you say, well, what can we do about this problem? What can we do to sort it out? And the focus is on the sorting out, because you find if somebody changes their mindset or their view of it, you take them away from the problem, looking at what they can do about it. It distracts them to an extent that they forget about the problem and just focus on the solution. Take into account that you have survived this far, so whatever problems you've had, including addiction, if you're in recovery and you've come this far, then you're a massive survivor. You've survived addiction, and that's a massive thing. So you do have the resources to survive and deal with a lot of things in your life, especially if you can get through addiction. That is self-empowering, and that will self-empower you, but you have to look at it and say, well, I am self-empowered because I have managed to deal with a lot of stuff and get through a lot of stuff in my life. I'm not stuck where I was. I'm moving forward, and that's huge for anybody. So choice and addiction. So when we were in active addiction, we had no choice, and that's very true. We were kind of like a bull with a nose ring. We were led around the place. We went where it took us. We were preoccupied with our addiction. Controlled us when we were drinking. We were powerless. As soon as we took a drink or drug, we were completely powerless and went on the roller coaster or merry-go-round, whatever you want to call it. When we were sober and we weren't drunk, we were still preoccupied because we were still thinking about it. It was in our heads. We were planning where we're going to get the next one or how we're going to get the next one. what we're going to do, etc., etc. So it was always there inside our heads. It was always leading us. And then we would deny and lie to ourselves to defend our addiction, and that is what I suppose the insanity part of addiction is. We would deny that we actually had a problem and defend that problem to the hilt. And unfortunately, yes, a lot of people have taken that to the grave. That's what addiction does. And then we were slaves, and that's very true. I know in my own case, I was very much a slave to addiction. I went from day to day, from bottle to bottle in that sense. So how does choice in recovery benefit me? Well, no longer a slave, and that's a great freedom. Ability to think more clearly, heads clearer, more cognitively, more rationally, more sensibly, etc. Be solution focused and not problem burdened. So looking at solutions to problems, not dwelling on the problem. So if a problem does pop up, say, well, what am I going to do about it, rather than sit with it, move forward. An ability to allow your own emotions come alive and feel free to be emotional and honest. And that's powerful as well, because everybody in addiction has been emotionally stunted and would have the emotions of a teenager, really, or so emotions do have to come up, and it takes time for them to come up. And emotions can be all over the place. It can be very moody, have mood swings, feeling great one minute and very sad the next, upset, depressed, anxious, you name it. But that's just the emotions coming to the fore, they're bubbling up, so to say. And again, looking at that and allowing your emotions to come alive. Don't be afraid of them. Don't run away from them. And again, becoming honest with yourself about how you're feeling. Don't try and squash it or deny it or run away from it or pretend it's not happening. Just let it happen. And with that, it helps you make the right decisions, for yourself and me, my own well-being, recovery. That's empowering me. As you grow, growth is self-empowering. Your self-esteem and self-worth grow as you grow. We all do. And with that growth in self-worth, self-esteem, it reinforces that empowerment. So it's a snowball effect, and then it changes our subconscious mind at the same time as well. It changes our core beliefs. It helps us accept mistakes, both past and present. And that's important, to accept the mistakes that you make. Don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. Don't be a perfectionist. Mistakes are there for a reason. They're there to be learned from. Appreciating choice, again, never take yourself for granted. Again, this includes your own freedom from addiction, and especially people in recovery, because we took our bodies for granted, we took our minds, our souls, we took the whole lot for granted, because we beat ourselves up every day, every time we took drugs and drink or gambled or whatever it is we did. We're beating ourselves up, and we have to be good to ourselves. Self-care is very important in recovery, so you have to start to appreciate yourself, appreciate your body, etc. Appreciate other people, show gratitude, because as you do that, as you show more gratitude and more appreciation, you receive that back in kind, and that just reinforces it again. Choice is a gift, as I said, which we cherish always and use wisely. So don't take it for granted. Don't abuse the power of choice that you have now. Don't go mad and start choosing stupidly. You need to be responsible as well. And remember, other people have also, have their freedom to make their own choices, and we must respect that as well. And that's important too, because we're all unique, we're all individuals, and as I say, everybody has that ability to choose. They have their own choices to make, and that's the great thing about life. We're all individuals and we're all unique. We're not all the same. So it's about appreciating your own choices and allowing other people and respecting other people's choices and opinions, etc. So making decisions, so with the power of choice comes a conviction of decisions. And again, decisions are responsibility. So if you decide to do something, you're taking responsibility for that decision. Not anybody else, but you. And with that responsibility comes ownership. So when you're responsible for something, you own it. It's yours. Right? You're doing it. You can no longer blame when you're responsible. If you blame, you're pointing fingers. Right? When you point fingers at someone, you got the rest of the fingers pointing back at you. So, when you're responsible or being responsible, you can no longer blame other people for your shortcomings. They're your shortcomings and nobody else's. So, you have to look at it in that sense. If we make mistakes, we must learn to be willing to accept them, like I said, learn and move on. And never doubt yourself. If you know you're right about something, you don't have to persuade other people. You don't have to justify what you feel or think. That's yours, your own to yourself. It's the same for other people. You don't have to try and persuade them either. And if they believe differently to you, that's okay too. Let them have that. But you don't have to believe in them either if you don't believe in something. So as I say, never allow your own judgment or values to be changed by other people, and never try to change other people's. So if somebody believes in something and you don't believe in it, that's fine, that's okay. No problem there. And life in recovery can be challenging and daunting, but it's the same for everyone. So everybody goes through this 2-year period, and it's very difficult in the beginning because change is difficult, it's not easy. But the thing is, the difficulties do pass. If you are consistent and persistent and stick at it, ask for help, you will find it gets easier over time. You become more comfortable about making choices, making decisions for yourself. You'll stand by those decisions and you'll stand by those choices. You'll stand by your values with confidence, with self-worth and self-esteem. And again, people can behave in cruel and hurtful ways as well in the same kind of thing. You don't have to, you can choose to ignore what people say and do. So just to sum up, in life, every day you can choose to be solution focused. So look at the solution and happy, or choose to be problem burdened and sad. It's your choice. Now for me, I choose to be solution focused and happy because I came from a place where I was problem burdened and I was sad. Just a serenity prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, again, the choice, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom then again to know the difference. All right, well, thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day, and I'll have another lecture coming up some other time. All right, take care. Bye.